So I've been working on this Jaboticaba. It flowered and set fruit really enthusiastically this year, even though it was toppled by Hurricane Irma. But the problem is that this fruit got to a certain stage and just stopped developing. And that's because the root system was so disturbed it couldn't support the fruit. So, anyway, 2018 for this tree is not going to be a fruiting kind of year. And so, I'm taking this opportunity to trim back the tree. I have 3 goals for this trimming. One is to cut the Jaboticaba away from the black sapote, because as I've been looking for black sapote that are ready to pick, I do get tangled up in the Jaboticaba a little bit, and I'd rather reduce the scratching potential. Second thing is to give the Jaboticaba like a real calm period to recover. I had left quite a few branches on the tree after the hurricane. Of course, I cut it back a lot, but still I held out a little hope for fruit like right about now. And apparently the tree was trying to do that, put out the flowers, put out the young fruit, but then it couldn't make it. So right now I'm taking off a lot of branches and leaves, so that will make it easier on the roots, and hopefully the roots can devote like a year to just getting out all over the place and be ready for the next season. And the third thing that I'm doing here is making the next crop easier to pick. When you have leaves and twigs and branches all over the place, it's sort of hard to get into where the action is. So anyway, 3 goals, and I'm just going to trim a little bit more, then I will step away from this tree until next season. So Jaboticaba definitely does not have wimpy wood. So this is about as thick of a branch as I want to cut with this particular hand pruner. Otherwise, it's the saw. So normally you don't trim this time of year because fruit are developing and you don't want to disrupt the development of the fruit. But obviously the fruit are not growing, and so 2018 is off the table for this tree as far as producing fruit. That means there's a unique opportunity to trim it now. And trimming it now in February gives it that much more time to recover for next year. So anyway, different years present different opportunities, and just when you have the time, trim something back and get it ready for the next season. So I'm eliminating branches that are in the way, stuff that's near the black sapote tree, and some of the tallest branches of this particular plant. And the reason I'm taking out the tall branches is basically you don't need it. The action happens here on the big branches. There'll be big fruit, hopefully easy to pick, hopefully 2019. But definitely, whenever possible, keep leaves on your tree because it keeps it active, keeps the sap flowing in the tree, and just is easier on the tree to recover. So Jaboticaba is a cool plant. I'm trimming this one because of reducing the demands on the roots. Also acknowledging that 2018 is off the table as far as fruit from this tree. And then I also want to make it easier to pick the black sapote next door and the fruit here. You know, I'm eliminating a lot of these branches in this area, the small branches, and so it'll be easier to pick the fruit from these larger branches next year. Another goal in my trimming is to reduce the wind resistance for any possible hurricane or big storm. So yeah, I'm trying to make it a little bit shorter and also making the sail a little bit less solid. And by the sail I mean the canopy, how dense the leaves are and everything like that. But Jaboticaba is a very versatile plant. I've seen them grown as a single trunk plant and up to about 4 or 5 feet, and then it's allowed to branch out at will, and that's very unusual for this particular kind of plant. This is more typical with multiple branches, but you get to choose how many of these multiple trunks that you would like, or if you just want to have it grown as a hedge. It makes a very nice hedge, and it doesn't affect the fruiting that much because the fruit happens inside the plant and not at the tips. Also, Jaboticaba is a pretty darn impressive bonsai plant, and you know, when you have a little plant that's just a couple feet wide with full-size fruit, it just really looks neat. So there are a lot of options on how to trim a Jaboticaba tree, and you get to choose how you want to do it. If you think of something entirely different, go ahead and do it. There's no grades, it's your enjoyment. Hopefully you will enjoy the look of your tree and the fruit for many years.